Hey, it's John Mike, brew-dudes.com, and we finally got to the outcome of the hard seltzer that I talked about that I brewed a few weeks ago. Everything went as planned. I think that from some of the comments that I saw on the first video of this hard seltzer experiment, people were talking about that there was a sulfur taste, there was off flavors that were hard to get out of the final product. But I will have to say that as simple as taking sugar, corn sugar at that, and water, and mixing that up, and then bringing that to fermentation temperatures and pitching one packet of champagne yeast and letting it do its thing, I think the biggest thing that I can give you as a tip is that staggered yeast nutrient, yeast energizer regimen, you know, where even though I would have added a little bit before, like right before I pitched yeast, I followed what the recipe called for, which said add the first regimen of the energizer and nutrients at 24 hours. At 24 hours after the start of fermentation, it still did its job, right? I think that following an addition at 24 hours, at 48 hours, and 72 hours, we were able to get a Alka-Pop beverage that came out, fairly clear, carbonated in the UK. I basically let this thing ferment until it cleared out itself. You could see the yeast dropping out of the solution and to the bottom of the fermenter. I had a clear fermenter that I used. This was a 1 gallon recipe that I rolled up to 3 gallons. So I had a clear 4 gallon fermenter. I think that all in all, 3 weeks is what it took, because that after the second week of fermentation, that last week was just clearing. And then I just moved a gallon of it into this thing, put in some a CO2 cartridge, and just brought it to the max level so that it would ferment in this thing and carbonate. So the only other thing I'll say is the flavoring. I did experimentations with, I got just
seltzer water?
Seltzer water, or you could probably even use club soda. Some neutral, non-flavored water that's already been carbonated. And I started with, I'm sorry, I'm going to use imperial measurements, but I started with, let's say, a 1/16 of my final volume that I was going to make for this batch. Again, I have 2 gallons still in the fermenter. I've yet to figure out what I've done, but I started off with a small fraction of the flavoring from what we got from Olive Nation, and I put that into a 1/16 version of this, and just kind of got an understanding of like, well, if I add just a little bit here and a little bit there, then I can scale up times 16, and that will give me what I need for flavoring for the final 1 gallon size. So this particular seltzer, even though I said I was going to do lime and coconut, I didn't really like that combination as good. So I did have an extract from Olive Nation of cherry, which was clear also, and lime, and I made a combination. So this is a cherry lime seltzer, and that's it. There's no back sweetening. There's no other flavor that I added to it. I just wanted to get a little bit of fruit in there, just to liven it up, I guess, a little bit. Because I don't think I would drink this without any kind of wacky flavoring. So Michael, I've talked a lot. What do you think of this?
I think it's excellent. It's amazing. There is no off flavor. There's no fermentation character to it whatsoever. It tastes like flavored seltzer water. To me, the flavorings in this, so the cherry is what really stands out the most to me. There's like it's somewhere between like a cherry Pez and like a cherry Skittle in terms of its flavor,
Right.
but it's very approachable, very, very flavorful. I mean, there might be some limey zest in the background that's sort of supporting it, but it's on the aroma as well as in the flavor. So those extracts from Olive Nation are perfect in here, and it's working great here. You know, yeah, it's clarity. It's not clear. It's got a distinct haze, but there's nothing in it. Whatever that haze is, some sort of protein or something left over from the yeast, but there's no like particulate in there. It's just a suspended haze.
Yep.
It doesn't really matter. But it drinks super easy. I mean, I totally dig it. It's super refreshing. The other thing too, you mentioned you know you're not back sweetening it, but where something like this where it ferments out so dry, the ethanol produced, ethanol itself, is a little bit sweet. And even though this is not really high in alcohol, where you would notice it like in a bigger beer, the sweetness, but the fact that there's nothing else behind it, there's just enough to actually make those extracts seem sweet, because the ethanol gives you a perception of sweetness a little bit too.
So, so I did take a final gravity reading. I can't say that I took a starting gravity reading. That's on me. But the final gravity of this was 1.000000. So I think that the recipe said that starting gravity was going to be 1040. I can quickly look that up, but that if we take those numbers as fact, then that brings this to like a 5.25 ABV.
That's awesome.
Which, you know, I think is
perfect.
is great.
But
Yeah.
you don't even taste it though. It doesn't even taste.
Yeah, it doesn't taste. There's nothing.
It's
hot.
not boozy at all.
Yeah.
There's no like I said, there's no fermentation character. It is a cherry lime carbonated water product.
There you go.
Which is what you're supposed to get.
Yeah, as that goes, right? I mean, I know that I was going in this just as someone who wanted to just learn the process of it. I mean, there's books on this. There's articles, and I was trying to take the easy way out of just getting a recipe kit so I could follow it, not think much, just give it a try to see how it would come out, if this kind of thing is something you can make at home, and I think that I certainly feel like I've proven that. Will I make this again? I think it would probably be something where someone would have to ask for it. All right, it says here like original gravity 1035, so I was a little off. According to
so it's still estimating an ABV about 5.5%.
Well,
it was on
10, okay, that's what it like. But it didn't. My fermentation did not dry out as much, so maybe I was a little higher.
Right.
I mean, I don't know. I didn't take that starting gravity. So, but yeah, that's what we're targeting, right? So, anyway, if if there are people in your life who are really digging these things, I don't know. Like I said on the original video, I had a Truly, and that thing was super sweet, and I did not like it. I had a sip or two, and I said, okay, that's not for me. But something like this, where if you're saying that that ethanol is giving me all the sweetness I need, and I use some high quality extracts, and maybe I could make it clearer if I put some gelatin in there if I really wanted it to be that way.
Yep.
I've never opened up a can and actually poured like a commercial example out to see how clear it is, but this does the trick. Certainly, other people who have tried it say yeah, this is good. There's not a bad flavor in there. So if you're into this kind of thing, certainly give it a try. Biggest tip I can say is certainly the schedule of putting in a yeast energizer, a yeast nutrient when you're supposed to, and using high quality extracts. I don't think you can go wrong. So hopefully you've learned something. We've unraveled the mystery of making hard seltzers at home. If you like this video, give us a thumbs up. Even if you don't like it, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to our channel. Leave a comment below. For John and Mike, brew-news.com. Brew on.
Cheers.